Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice for radio, so today I'm going to be showing you another brand new GX card. The difference today, ladies and gentlemen, at the time I record this is a proper job exclusive. My lovely confidant in Japan, Antoine, has sent me some information which I have not seen on any websites yet, so this might, depending how quickly this video comes out, be an exclusive. Regardless, I'm fairly sure this is going to be the first analysis of, wait for it, Decidueye GX. Now, the images of 3 decks in Japan came out yesterday for the 3 final evolutions of the starters in Pokemon Sun and Moon, but the images were too small to actually see. We could see the HPs of them all. 240 for Decidueye, 250 for the others. Now this, like I've said in previous videos, makes sense because grass Pokemon generally tend to have a lower HP. They tend to be a little bit more fragile. And this shows us some quite cool things. We can see that basic GXs, think Snorlax, tend to have 190. Stage 1s tend to have 200 or 210, and it seems like Stage 2 GXs have 240 or 250 HP. But I didn't have enough information, ladies and gentlemen, to share anything else with you. We didn't have clear enough images. Well, the official Japanese site has just uploaded a better quality scan of Decidueye GX, so I can now share with you what it does, and it's quite good. Now, the first thing, and we didn't need higher quality scans to know this, Decidueye is a grass Pokemon. Now, it is actually a grass ghost Pokemon, but it's grass in a TCG. Maybe we'll get a psychic Decidueye at some point. I think it's fair to assume, although not guaranteed, that we are going to have a grass line first of all. Certainly, Decidueye himself is grass. It's fair to assume that Rowlet and Dartrix will be as well. So that means that Forest of Giant Plants is in play, which means that we can evolve all the way up to Decidueye straight away. That is pretty good. That means that we can have him going on turn 1, and 240 HP, pretty good. Now, the other thing we must remember, of course, that being grass, he is weak to fire, and Volcanion is quite a big deal at the moment. Volcanion is a deck. Certainly, we haven't seen the scan of Rowlet, but we can assume that Rowlet's probably got about 60 HP. That's what grass basic Pokemon that evolve to Stage 2s generally have. So that means that a non-EX Volcanion with a Fighting Fury Belt is going to get a one-hit KO on Rowlet. So, little bit dodgy, but of course we've got Forest of Giant Plants we can evolve up straight away. What he does have, however, is a quite phenomenal ability. Feather Arrow. Once during your turn, you may put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Now, to be clear, the image that's been revealed by Japan is not 100% clear. It might be 3 damage counters, but my lovely friend Antoine says the general opinion from Japanese tweets seems to lean towards 2, and he speaks Japanese and reads Japanese. He tells me that he thinks it's 2 as well. So there is an outside chance this is 3. Now, if it is 3 damage counters, then that means one-hit KOs on things like Magikarp and Joltik, which do see a little bit of play. But as it stands at the moment, regardless, that's an extra 2 damage counters. To put this in perspective, before Crobat was rotated, a very popular set of cards last year, in last year's format, we had Golbat and Crobat. Golbat, you evolve up and put 2 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon. Crobat, you put 3. Fighting Fury Belt has been very, very popular because, well, I mean, it does raise your HP, but it does an extra 10 damage. Back in the day, Crobat G was exceptionally popular because it allowed you to drop 1 damage counter. Doing extra damage is always good. Being able to do 2 extra damage for free is spectacular. And there's a couple things we need to note about this ability which might not immediately jump to mind. Number one, it's stackable. So if we've got 2 Decidueyes, that's 4 damage counters, 3 Decidueyes is 6 damage counters, and 4 Decidueyes is 8 extra damage counters per turn. Or indeed 6, 9 or 12 if it is 3 damage counters, not 2. As I always say with Japanese cards, there is a chance that some of these translations turn out a little bit wrong, but I know that you guys want the information ASAP. You've told me that on a number of occasions, so here we go. The other thing is, of course, Forest of Giant Plants. You can do this on the very first turn of the game. Now, you can't attack turn 1 at the moment, but you could get, for instance, 3 Decidueye going on the first turn of the game, drop 6 damage counters on a throw key and win. Donking is coming back potentially. Now, it's very difficult to do. Being able to find 3 Rowlets, 3 Dartrix, 3 Decidueyes and a Forest of Giant Plants on the very first turn of the game is not particularly easy, but it does remain possible. I don't think this is going to be donking every single turn, but I do think this is going to be at the very least, early pressure. I love this ability. Now, if it turns out to be 3 damage counters, not 2, that changes everything. Because now we've got 1 ability KOs a Joltik, 2 abilities KOs a Froakie. 3 damage counters rather than 2 would be borderline broken, but as I've said, we think it is 2. Now, the main attack here is Razor Leaf, free energy, 90 damage. There's not much to say about this. It's not particularly good. Grass double colourless means you can use a double colourless energy, which is handy. But as I've been saying in a lot of these GX videos, it's just not good enough. I've been saying that free energy for 100 is not particularly good. Free energy for 90 is not great. It's not a very good attack. And that brings us to the GX attack. Now, I've been telling you, and I've done a whole bunch of these GX videos, links in the description, that generally these GX attacks tend to be a cheeky one-hit KO. Well, that is not the case. Now, we've seen with Solgaleo that it helps you to set up and get a whole bunch of energy on the field, although we still don't know the attack cost for that. But with Decidueye, it is the first time we've seen a recovery GX attack. Hollow Hunt. Choose any free cards from your discard pile, show them to your opponent and add them to your hand. Now again, it's a GX attack, so 1 GX attack of any description per game. But this is quite phenomenal as far as it goes. You get to get any free energy back. Now, we've got special charge nowadays. My first response would be to go, oh my goodness, you could get special energy back, which always used to be very difficult. Special charge means we can get special energy nowadays. But make no mistake about this, ladies and gentlemen. You can be getting any of your supporters back. You can be getting Pokemon back. One thing you could potentially do here is you could go ahead and get an entire Decidueye line right away, and this is to your hand. So although I've said special charge allows you to get special energy, they go back into your deck. Super Rod allows you to get Pokemon, but they go back into your deck. Hollow Hunt GX allows you to get free cards of any description into your hand. You can get those 2 Pokemon you need, and you can get a supporter, or you can get Pokemon Special Energy supporter. The other thing which I would be remiss if I didn't mention about Hollow Hunt GX, it is to your hand and it is an attack, meaning as soon as you've done this, your turn will end. If your opponent plays an N, then they go back into your deck. And this is your GX attack. And as I've said, special energy can be recovered by special charge. You can get your Pokemon and basic energy back using Super Rod. We've even had the card Pow Pad in the past, which has been rotated now, but allows you to get supporters back into your deck. So I'm not sure this is good enough if your opponent ends you and you've ended up just putting a few cards back in your deck. It's not the best GX attack we've had, but it is, in terms of recovery, pretty much the best attack we've ever seen, hence why it's a GX. So we've got a brilliant HP, we've got a slightly worrying weakness, which is, as I say, slightly worrying. We've got an interesting but not spectacular GX attack, underwhelming attack, and an amazing ability. And make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen, it is the ability that makes Decidueye special. This ability has the potential to make Decidueye great. What you could do here is play a grass deck, give a different attacker, and just sit there smashing with Decidueye. I told you about how good Lurantis is. Maybe we make a Lurantis deck, but we just sit there with Decidueye smashing with this ability. There is potential here. I don't know if it's the best GX card ever, but I can tell you that ability-wise, make no mistake about it, do not sleep on this, ladies and gentlemen. This ability is spectacular. It's an extra 2 damage counters every turn. Not when you evolve up, every single turn. 2 damage counters for Golbat when you evolve up is playable. 2 damage counters a turn will be. Now you know the deal, ladies and gentlemen. There's a comment section, a like button, a subscribe button. Use them all. Let me know what you think about the speed with which I managed to bring you to Decidueye GX. I'm assuming it's going to go down well, but there's a comment section to let me know. This is a very quick hot take video. If I've missed anything, let me know. And of course, the most important thing as always, look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.